Thank you, Chairman Powell, for joining us today and for your testimony. I'm going to focus my comments and my questions on the high costs that families in my district are seeing because of your interest rate hikes. Now, while the Fed has acknowledged that higher interest rates are not the primary driver for the slowdown in price increases, you continue to raise interest rates, risking not only millions of jobs, but also a recession. Based on projections from the Fed, approximately 2 million people will lose their jobs. So that's 2 million families who will struggle to put food on the table, keep a roof over their heads, and to make ends meet. But the economic hardship does not end there. Mr. Chair, I would like to request unanimous consent to submit a recent paper by the Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland titled Post-COVID Inflation Dynamics into the record.
Without objection.
Chairman Powell, are you familiar with this publication, yes or no?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Well, let me give you some context. In this paper, the Fed's own economists predict that reaching the 2% inflation goal that you have set will be impossible without causing a recession and spiking the unemployment rate to 7.4%, which translates to millions of working people losing their jobs. Now, Chairman Powell, many economists agree with me when I say that engineering a recession to bring inflation under control is not the right strategy, especially at a time when we are seeing inflation cool in real time, independent of your rate hikes. So on behalf of the people of this country, to prevent a recession, yes or no, Chairman Powell, will you pause future interest rate hikes?
We're not seeking to have a recession, and we don't think we need to have a recession to get
respectfully
price stability back.
Will you pause interest rate hikes, yes or no?
I don't do yes or no on will I pause interest rate hikes. Yeah, that's a serious question, and I can't tell you because I don't know all the facts. That's not a
Reclaiming my time. And in fact, it is a very serious question because it has a very serious implications. The people who will bear the brunt of an economic recession are our most vulnerable. We know from past experiences that recessions have catastrophic and deeply inequitable consequences. In fact, while some will catch a cold, others will catch pneumonia. But you know that. An economic cold or pneumonia. In fact, in your opening statement, you said, "We will stay the course until the job is done." To conclude, we understand that our actions affect communities, families, and businesses across the country. Could you elaborate, what is this effect to communities, families, and businesses, these interest rate hikes?
Well, right now we're trying to bring down inflation on behalf of all those families. I think high inflation is hurting particularly working families all around the country very badly. And as you know, if you're on a very limited budget and you don't have a lot of excess earnings, when prices start going up, you're in trouble right away. People, middle and upper middle class people, have more resources. So we think it's absolutely critical for the working people of this country that we get inflation back under control. And also, while we're at it, we have a dual mandate.
Apologies, Mr. Chair, just reclaiming my time here. Here's the thing. The most devastating impacts will be to our most vulnerable. Veterans to our most vulnerable. Veterans, the elderly, low-income workers, Black and brown workers, those who have often ignored and been neglected in the name of what you refer to as appropriate monetary policy. And yet, you assert that you will stay the course. It's unconscionable, and our most vulnerable workers and families cannot afford to wait for you to realize the harm that you are doing. In my opinion, this sounds more like the assertions of a greedy corporation than someone who has a public mission on behalf of the people of this country. One more question with my remaining time here. Chairman Powell, another consequence of your interest rate hikes has been the increase of the average 30-year fixed mortgage rate to 6.6%, double of what it was 2 years ago. Do you see this widening inequity in the housing market as a problem? And what steps will you take to make housing more affordable? This is putting home ownership further and further out of reach for my constituents, new parents, millennials, people of color, contributing to inequities and the racial wealth gap. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, our policies do
Gentlemen,
affect.
Gentlelady's time has expired. Chairs can submit for the record or answer.
I'll briefly say that if I can, that our interest rate policies affect interest-sensitive spending very directly. When we cut rates, they help housing. When we raise rates, you see the effect on housing. So.
Thank you.